welcome to the March meeting of the Library Marketing Book Club. It's so good to have everybody here. We are recording the meeting as we do every month. I also did broadcast this over to Facebook. So if anybody maybe sees it over there, maybe they'll join us over here if they're not already here. But thank you so much for coming. I'm really excited to see you all. And looking forward to talking about usability and what it means for us in marketing and any of you that do have some responsibility for your websites and what you can do with that. So yes, as we always, just to kind of start out, what did y'all think? What did anybody think about this month's book? If you had a chance to read some or any of it, or some or all of it, Don't Make Me Think.
I enjoyed it. He's very amusing, of course. So he was great back to back with Jay Acunzo. But
oh yeah,
I thought there was a lot of things to draw out of that, back to signage, back to handouts, back to, I mean, it's not just the principles for the website are true as far as clicking goes, but the concepts, wrapping up the smart brevity pieces and things that they're all working together and ultimately the same message. And so even though I don't have any responsibility for the website, I certainly resonated with a lot of the things he said. And it's, again, let's look at what we're handing out. Is there too much crammed on the page that could have been a QR code if they wanted to see more? Or I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was quite well worth the time.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. Yeah, I think so too. I think it definitely is very applicable to a lot of things we do. Michelle, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I appreciated the format. It was very easy in. So a lot of times I don't have big chunks of time to sit down and delve into a chapter or two, but you could totally sit down and flip through a chapter. And if it caught my interest, I could stay with it longer. And if it didn't, I just move on.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it was definitely one that was nice and easy to scan and skip through and kind of check in on this and a lot of nice graphics and pictures to break it up. I thought it was kind of clear then in one sense. Then when you hit which I'm pretty sure is a new chapter, because the original book was, I don't remember, 2002 or maybe even earlier. It's been a while since the original book came out, and I thought you could kind of tell when the mobile chapter came up. It's like, oh, this is a new chapter, because it wasn't written quite in the same style. It's like, oh, this is a lot of words, and I mean, there were still graphics and stuff. But yeah, I agree, Michelle. It was very easy to kind of scan and skip through and kind of move through quickly, and and it's a really good, I've had it for a long time. It's a good reference book. It's a good one to just pick up when you're thinking about like how to do stuff and how to move it forward, and how to make something a little more approachable than
right.
that.
And that being said, I also had to stop and pull up my website and test to see, does my website do what it shouldn't do or what it should? And so even though it was an easy in out kind of read, it also made me stop and put the book down and go try something else. So, it's win-win that way.
Did anybody else look through their websites?
I totally did. I was thinking, oh crap, do we do that? And I'm like, oh. And we did. I was very thankful, because we redid our website in 2018. And I remember that whole Don't Make Me Think really resonated with me, because the designers wanted to do the 3 little dashes, without saying what it is. And I'm like, what the hell is that? You got to write menu, because you have to think.
Yes.
Now it's more prevalent. People see those 3 dashes and they know to click on it. But in 2018, I was like, no.
Yeah.
So, so that whole Don't Make Me Think thing really, it makes sense. I mean, you don't want to have to figure out, where am I? What am I looking for? Where do I go? What do I do? So that, and I did quickly go to my pages and say, wait a minute, do we have, and cross my fingers. It seemed like it was all right. So
that's very refreshing.
I was a little scared for a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure there's there's always things to kind of do and kind of advance and look at and improve. So no, it's very cool. Fran, yeah, Fran, so Fran, you do manage your website. That's awesome because I know like we've talked about it, and now even when we were getting ready to read this book, a lot of people are like, I don't manage my website. So you're getting ready to do a new website. That is awesome. That's very exciting. Fran, are you not able to join on voice? And that's fine. I'll pause and see. Yeah, it sounds like probably not. That's totally cool. But yeah, anything else about your website? That's awesome. That you have some real practical application for this. So, yeah, and made some modifications along the way. That's okay. Thanks, Fran. Yeah, but even made some modifications along the way while you're checking it out. Yeah, that's great. It's a great opportunity to do that. And yeah, like you're saying, Mary, there's there's a lot of things like the little, and now we call that the hamburger, the little 3 lines, right? So yeah. And a lot of that does seem like it has become more familiar from the acceleration of mobile use, like, mobile being more prevalent. And, I know again, there was a whole new chapter in there on mobile and mobile design. And one thing in there that I thought was pretty cool was about, should we be designing mobile first, or should we be designing with the whole website in mind? And it's an interesting option. So what else? What are some other thoughts what are some other reactions that anybody had to the book? Michelle, your ILS puts a hamburger clip art. That's very cool. What ILS is it? Can I ask? Biblionics. Oh, I haven't heard of Biblionics. Are you academic library, Michelle? No, public.
Small public libraries.
Oh, public, yeah. Okay. Oh, that's neat. That's very funny that they do that. That's very clever. So yeah, so there was a lot of things in there, kind of just flipping through the book. There were a lot of things about forms and how to put forms in. And I agree. I mean, I thought that that a lot of that could apply very easily to a lot of the work that we do when we are when we're preparing things visually and printing things. The farmer and the cowman was is that a real song? The farmer and the cowman should be friends.
Oh yeah, it's from the musical Oklahoma, which my high school did when I was a senior. So of course I know every word, and I have been singing that song for a week now.
No. That's very funny. Yeah. So yeah, that was good. He had so many good analogies and so many good ways of looking at things in there. I'm trying to flip through to see some notes. It was interesting. I thought that in this book, like in Jay Kunze's book that we read last month, a lot of what he was talking about, if I remember correctly, was that best practices are, they're okay, but they're never going to get you that far. And then we come into this book and the book's like, no, conventions are what you want to use. You want to follow conventions. And I guess it's, considering a different audience and a different goal. But yeah, what were some other other things that y'all learned from the book, or what other things stuck out as far as visual usability? There was a chapter on accessibility. What else kind of stuck out when you were reading this book?
I'm curious if anyone else felt seen when he was talking about the homepage and the sometimes knockdown, drag out fights that end up happening over who gets real estate on the homepage. That was certainly one of the things we had to deal with when I worked at the library in Cincinnati, and it's even true at Novelist now, like and I'm in charge of the daggone website now. So I really appreciated this book because
Yeah,
I'm back in
yeah,
it now. And
yeah.
the homepage, like where do you put things and who gets a place on the homepage, especially for libraries where you have like 6,000 things that you want people to be able to find and get to. Like, how have you had those conversations and how have you figured out what goes where without hurting someone's feelings, I guess?
Yeah, Tammy, did you have something or?
Just, we went through, during the pandemic, we were working on redesigning our website and it finally got abandoned because the redesign got abandoned. We will revisit it later, but because the conflicts were so huge and anywhere from how it looks to the color design palette, because I mean, we have a set palette as a college, to who decides what buttons go on the front page and, you know, do the librarians get to treat it as if it was their personal website? Or is it the entire, you know, library, because we have this line between the reference librarians and the circulation functionally. And so who's, you know, whose voice is going to be the loudest? And it just, yeah, it became a battlefield and it was like, this is not worth it. This is not worth it. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
We'll have to come back when people have decided to be adults.
That may be a long time. Angela, did you have something to
That's
add?
too bad. I was just going to say, I think in those instances, you really need a strong leader, like your director or whoever is in charge of your marketing, to keep everybody on track and say, sorry to some people, but this is how it's going to be. And I have the privilege of looking at many, many library websites. And I'm always like looking, it's so fascinating because everyone does it differently. Like for me as a user, I want to know where the email sign up is, where the social media icons are. Like if I was a new person, I'm thinking if I was a new person in the community, these are the things that I would be looking for. And then like, how do I easily get to the catalog and other like services? And I really loved all of the advice in the book about usability tests.
Yes.
We do that a lot at Novelist. I don't think we do it often enough in the library world. It takes time. It just does.
Angela, how do you do them? Like, so yeah, so it was, I know, and we've thought the same thing. And a couple of times we've done usability tests, and I can share our experiences there. But when you do them at Novelist, Angela, who are your testers, or how are you getting testers? Are they customers? Are they, you know, other I mean, because EBSCO's huge, so is it, you know, other EBSCO staff or?
No, we want customers. And sometimes non-customers. I mean, we will pick people depending on the product, because we have different websites for different products. So we'll pick like super users of the product, and then we'll go in and pick people who have the product but don't use it very often to get a well-rounded sense of how they navigate it. And then we will put out a call for people to come and look at it, and they don't have to be customers. That's usually done at conferences. So for example, at PLA next week, we put out a call for people to like just stop by and take a look at it and tell us what you think, and we'll watch how they navigate it and like what questions do they have. And yeah, but it is very time intensive, and I don't know that libraries can really replicate that to the extent that we're able to, because you know, because they're library.
Yeah, it's your main product is really a web-based product, right? So yeah, so that investment, but it is, we've done it. We did it once for because we were looking at some different catalog interfaces, and we looked at, so we had people take a look at our current catalog interface, and we're on Circe Dynex, and we were using their catalog. We use their catalog. What was interesting with that, and I was when I was reading about the usability test, I think there was a little bit in there about it. What was interesting was that there's people are different. people that we encountered have a high tolerance for poor design. Now because we can't control like we the library don't control the design of our catalog, and we were just looking to see like what do people think about the current catalog design, so we could get some ideas about, well, if we selected a new catalog, what kind of things would be looking for, what would be important. And it was just kind of funny to us that people are like, well, yeah, it takes a few clicks and it's pretty slow. And sometimes I have to hit the back button a bunch of times to get what I want. They're like, but it's the library. So, whatever. And I was like, well, that's okay. But that's not super helpful because we don't want to know, like, what do you tolerate? We want to know, like, if you were paying for this, what did you really want? Angela, can I just ask one more? Do you all pay people for, do you do paid and unpaid or all unpaid?
All unpaid.
Wow,
Yep.
that's great.
It's
That's
just,
excellent.
yeah, God bless libraries. They're willing to sit with us. And some of these calls take like, I don't know, a half hour out of their day. But I think sometimes also it's the fun of seeing the product in its first stage, what it's going to look like. And it's really interesting to me that what you just said about how library patrons are much more forgiving, which is great. Regular like paying customers are not,
Right.
which is, but they are willing to give up their time for usability tests because they know that in the end we'll be developing a better product that will help them do their work faster. So I don't know how that might translate for libraries, except that like letting people know, hey, great, so happy that you love us so much. But like if you wanted to find a book like really, really fast, because I don't know, you had 5 minutes and you're standing in line at the grocery store, what can we do to make it better? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the nice thing about that, being forgiving and being open it does translate to being open too. And I think just like you, I don't think when we did ours, we didn't pay anybody and nobody really expected it. I mean, we just kind of went and just did some recruiting, some late recruiting through, I think, email or social media. And we just got a few people together to do some tests, and they were like on the web. But yeah, I think like you're saying, Fran, about the DIY testing, that was kind of what we were doing. Like we weren't doing it would be great to be able to do the real formal, like I loved the idea of, and maybe I guess you could do this, the idea of the little clip-on camera. I don't know if you didn't get a chance to read the book, but there was a real neat thing about on the phone, taking a book light and attaching a camera to it so that you could watch what the person did and they could move the phone around. Like I don't think we did any like physical tests. Angela, have you done, well, I mean, I guess at the conferences you do physical tests where you're actually watching people.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty neat. But yeah, I like the idea, Fran, too, of doing the DIY testing and kind of, making your best effort at getting it together and recruiting people. I do think that because people are so people have such a strong affinity for libraries, I think it is easy for us to recruit people for it if you can carve out the time. And if like Fran or I have a web design person on my team, if you have that web design close to you, or Tammy, I don't know if if you have anybody that you could talk to, but you can you can do some of that if you can just kind of carve out the time to do some of it. And I was wondering too, in that I was thinking like, oh, I hadn't really thought, does anybody do this? I mean, I guess in some ways, Tammy, you want to be usability tester? Yes. Yeah. It sounds very exciting. Usability sounds, I know when I read it too, it's one of those where I'm like, oh, here's an interesting career path, be a usability expert. But so how could we apply this same thing with usability testing of websites to testing of the content that we have? I mean, does anybody have any thoughts about that? Like, because that's what I was thinking. Again, how can we apply this not just to the web, but how could we apply it to to just the marketing materials that we do, whether it's wayfinding or signage or even flyers and digital design.
Okay, I know I'm doing a lot of talking.
That's okay,
at this
please.
meeting. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But when you said that, I went to a virtual conference about a month ago from the state of Colorado, and there was this guy talking about merchandising, and they did this test, which I think would probably look hilarious in real life, but it was wild. They put a GoPro on somebody's head, like a helmet with a GoPro, and asked them to go into the library, and they gave them like a specific task. Like, you are looking for this certain kind of book. And so they could see from that person's point of view, like how they looked around and like what signage they noticed. And they like walked right past the area where the thing was that they were supposed to be retrieving. And there was like a sign right there on the shelf that said, here's the thing, and they walked right past it. And his takeaway from it was that people don't see 8.5 by 11 signs. They only see things that are bigger than that, or like no signage, and you just have to have somebody who takes the person there. And I just thought that was fascinating. And I think that's something libraries could do. You could get a GoPro camera and look somebody up and ask them to like go into your library and replicate that.
I think it would probably be, Mary, did you have something about that?
I was just going to say, a zillion years ago in banking, we used to do secret shoppers. Did anybody ever use secret shoppers?
Yeah, I've used and been a secret shopper before.
Okay, and boy, oh boy, talk about fun and interesting, depending on which location. And I mean, and they were different ages, different, ethnicities, la, 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 la. And it was, I mean, not, I don't in the library, probably wouldn't want to pay anybody, but the secret shopper thing was very eye-opening. We did it a lot in banking. And when we did our new website, we did do usability, but we just used patrons. And we asked the librarians to give us people that were like super users and people who were not super users.
Right.
People who aren't familiar. And it was very helpful. It really was. So, and it didn't cost anything. I mean, we just gave them we were still in the sandbox. And so we gave them the link to the test site and just had them, before it went live. So we could make some tweaks and it worked out fine. And people were very receptive and willing to help. And they were definitely honest about their feedback. And because it was a big switch, we had a website that was like 1,000 years old, and it had all the little, like you were saying, Angela, everybody wants their thing on the homepage. So there were little chunks, about 40,000 things on the homepage. It was bad. It was really bad. So anyway.
No, Mary, that is true. Yeah, definitely. I mean, our previous website, and even worse was our previous intranet, where it was the same because it was an internal thing. So, oh my God, the amount of, it was like the old days of like a Yahoo, just page and page and page of links. Just everybody had to have a link to something, and then it was in 10 different places. It was wild, but I love the callback to secret shoppers. And I know a lot of secret shopping is done for like personnel issues and customer service issues. My wife and I did secret shopping for a while for a couple different places. One of them was Hooters. We had to test their customer service skills, which was crazy. And then we had another one that was a bar that they thought somebody was stealing. So we had some very interesting secret shopping. Yeah, we had some very interesting secret shopping gigs. But it is true. I mean, and that is so cool, Angela. The idea of just the GoPro, and Mary, using that secret shopper to just send somebody in. Like, I remember that that I had done some too, where it was like at a bank, and it was okay, go in and sign up for a checking account, and they just wanted to see like what was that experience like, and that was pretty cool. And I hadn't really even thought about it in a long time for that kind of user and usability testing experience. But that is super cool. But yeah, I think it definitely, looking at this book, there's so many things that were so applicable to kind of the work that we do. Tammy, did you have something? I just saw that you
Oh,
opened your mic.
you
Yeah.
know, I love this.
Yeah.
Thinking about comparing the physical building to a website, the
Yeah.
signage, the menus, the directions. Can people navigate exactly to where they want to get to?
Right.
It's brilliant. We're going to have to do this here. I don't know how we're going to do this, but maybe get somebody that's never been in here,
Yeah.
and just ask them to look around, and can they navigate to where they want to be in 3 steps or less, just like on a website.
Right. Right. That's really,
Without
yeah.
asking more than 2 or 3 people, Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the signage effective? I love this idea.
Yeah, there's another book, and I don't think we read it. I can't remember. There's a book I'll have to look on our list because this club has been going for 3.5 years now, so we've had a lot of books. But there's this book called Why We Buy. It's by I can't remember his last name. His first name is Pablo, and I can't remember his last name. He's a shopping scientist. And Angela, when you started talking, I was thinking about the way that in that book, he tests how spatial environments work. So he would set up similar tests. What they do is the company's called EnviroCell. Pablo, or no, not Pablo, Paco Underhill is his name. And he's got 2 books, but that was like kind of his big one. And what they do is they like put up cameras, and they'll be in a department store, and they'll have a rack with like ties on it, and they'll watch and they'll see like how many people like bump into the rack or bump into each other, and how does that, and they have a whole theory about how much that bumping positively or negatively affects the sales off that rack. So then they'll move the rack somewhere else, and they'll do that kind of visualization. And so and ever since I read that book, I've always wanted to do it. And it's one of those things that I've always wanted to do, but never have actually. And I just need to do it sometime. So what you would do is, kind of Tammy, about the visual is what if you could take, of course we don't have a ton of time, but what if you could take like an hour and just sit in a library in one position and just kind of watch the flow of traffic and see where people go and see what people do. I did do that in one library, and I thought it was interesting that the library had a pretty deep front entrance. So the entrance was pretty far up from where the circulation desk was. And then next to the circulation desk was the return. And then there was circulation. And then there was a place where I think the next place was like, I can't remember, their catalog computers, but everybody would just like, so many people took the same path, which was to go straight back past all this stuff and just go straight back to the public computers where they could sign up. Now, obviously, I mean, that's what that's what a lot of people needed, but I just found it really interesting that people bypassed a lot of stuff. And I was just trying, and it made me think like, where might you set up some displays or signs? In our main library, the other thing that we have is every month there's an art walk downtown, and we're like right downtown, and we don't get a lot of, while we get some people in the library, it feels like a lot of times we're always really having to try and drag people in the library with different things, which is fine. But the one thing that we get a ton of people going in and out of the library is to the bathrooms. So my idea is that we need displays, and I mean, not totally in people's way, but along that path to the bathroom, at least during that art walk, that is like our prime real estate, and that's where everything should go. And maybe even, you know, kind of generally. I mean, I don't think the path to the bathroom is a terrible way to put things in, but it's another way of thinking, like, you know, kind of how are people using it and where are they using it? That may be mixing a little bit with what we do, but
Well, and you can always put signage on the inside, like when you close the door in the stall and, you know, signs are right there. And you could have little
does anybody do
interchangeable.
that? I've always wanted to. Does
And I've
anybody
done
do
that in
that?
other businesses, but not in the
Yeah.
library.
Yeah.
Might
Yeah.
work. I don't know.
Anna?
Doesn't Mark Polgar talk about that in one of his books about how you really have to see people interacting with the library to figure out where to put your signs? Or we actually tried to do that, or we put out a call to our branch managers to ask them to have their staff keep an eye on our marketing and our signs, and to see how people were interacting with them, or how people were, if people were picking up flyers, or are people scanning the QR codes on posters, or where are they stopping? And we didn't get a lot of response, sadly, you know, because the marketing department is so small, we don't have time to send people out to see what, you know, how people are interacting. But
Right.
so it turned out that the time of year that we asked them to do that was kind of, it was the same time that evaluations were due and everyone was really busy. And so we're going to try again later, but I do love that idea that, like, the real, you know, you really have to see if your marketing is working, like, and if your signs are working, and, you know, is to be able to see, right, to do that, that research, actual library research.
Yeah. Yeah. It's valuable time spent, but it's valuable time. So it can be tricky to do that. You know, maybe there's, you know, that maybe there are, I don't know, maybe there are people that can be recruited to do some of that work too. You know, maybe there's volunteers that could be trained to do that. I don't know, but you know, but there's always hash mark, you know, things that people can do, and yeah, I just think it's pretty interesting. You know, like you were saying, Tammy, it's neat to be able to kind of apply this and look at how things are, because yeah, the usability of our physical spaces is, you know, certainly of prime importance to what we do. And even though I think in the book he brushes by that and then says, well, but websites are different, which is true, websites are different, but it's just it's just as important and just as valuable that that we're looking at it in our physical spaces, I think. And yeah, Fran, that book, The Library of Signage and Wayfinding Design, it's an excellent book. I think we read it on here maybe a year ago or so. And Mark joined us. But yes, absolutely. It is you nailed it. That's the right book. That is a book made for exactly this conversation. So yeah, and yeah, Tammy, you put flyers up on the wall facing the door inside the bathroom or next to the mirrors for events. Yeah, I know that's popular, and you know, especially if you're getting at a time, I feel like when you're getting a lot of people in those places that's what they're primarily looking for is the restroom, which again is fine. It's something we offer. It's something important. It's something people also need to be able to find really easily. But it's a great opportunity to do stuff, you know, as long as I guess it's, you know, it's not becoming noise. But I think yeah, I've always loved that idea of the kind of the porcelain press, as they say, or something in the thing. Oh yeah, Wi-Fi hotspots. Yes, that's a great. That was in the bathroom that you advertised the Wi-Fi hotspots. Yes, that's really cool. That's really good. But yeah, what other, you know, trying to think of what other things there were about. Oh, the other thing I was thinking was too, you know, now. Again, I know that it's not the silver bullet end all be all of everything in the world, but it'll be interesting to think how you might be able to use AI for some of this usability testing. And, you know, I was thinking about, you know, you certainly can put, you know, things in Chat GPT and position. It'll be interesting. Has anybody tried anything like that, like position Chat GPT or any other thing as a customer? You know, you are a customer of a library and you are using this. I don't know, you know, I know ChatGPT is all of them have limitations, but I thought that might be another interesting way to apply to usability to see, like, maybe there is an AI out there. Maybe there's because ChatGPT has a lot of applications. I don't know if it requires you to have a subscription to get to some of their applications, but there are a lot of other ChatGPT, like I guess they're called GPTs, that do other things, and it'd be neat if there was one that looked at websites and tried to see if it could complete some tasks. But maybe it's probably already developed and designed, and we just don't know about it yet. But yeah. So anything else about the book that you thought was interesting or curious, or, like I said, there was a whole chapter on accessibility in addition to usability that I thought could be very useful. I found that it could be very useful. I know that libraries are, do have a lot of tools and machinery for accessibility that might be helpful, and it's definitely a broad group of our customers that we want to attract. Like I know there is always the thing in there that I read about, and I don't know if this was accessibility, it might have been, but about printing web pages, which in my opinion, it still baffles me that people always want to print web pages. I know there are some occasions where it can be helpful, but it seems like to me a kind of instead of making it printable, make it more useful. I thought that, I find it hard to. We just had a whole thing about our code of conduct, which of course needs to be printable. It's part of our procedure when somebody gets asked to leave for the day or trespass, that they need to get a copy of the code of conduct. So we have to have a printable option. But sometimes it seems like it kind of hinders the process, because I don't know if y'all experienced this where you are, but down here there was somebody who was very litigious, who was going to, and it's certainly fair, they were going around to different city websites and scanning to see how many had PDFs on their website. And PDFs, as you probably know, are highly inaccessible. They don't, you have to really do some special design with them for them to be accessible. So that's why we've had to remove a lot of PDFs from our website. And so that's why a lot of it, we don't have things that are readily printable. I don't know if anybody else encounters that, but something that made me think about the printability of a website and what kind of things there are. So Angela just tried asking ChatGPT. Google's Gemini. Interesting. Yes.
Kind of. So it's, I can show you it. I was just
Sure.
Curious.
Yeah,
since
why
you
not?
said that.
Please.
Oh, I can't share my screen.
I don't give you access.
You don't give me access. And I'm using Cincinnati's library's website, but I can do somebody else's in this meeting.
Let me see. Multiple advanced sharing options. All participants can share. All participants can start sharing when someone else is sharing. Now it's maybe a sharing free for all. See if it works for you now.
Let's do
Okay.
it. Why not? We're casual.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So this is Google's Gemini. At first I forgot to put the website. I did it. So this is I was just like, what is this? And this is its little summary of what the website is. And then it said, let me know if there's something specific. You want me to find something specific? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I know where the new books are. It's calling new books page 3, which is I guess here, new releases.
Interesting. Interesting as a page number for it.
Yeah, I'm like, that is weird.
That's pretty cool. And those titles are those titles? Wow.
I don't know, unless it's here. But I was like, I'm going to find something that's difficult to find on their website. Yeah. I think it's this page, actually.
Maybe it is.
Let's see. What do we want to ask it to find? Oh, I wonder if it can find. We find the eclipse viewing party on CHP. I don't know if I need to put that in again or not. Sorry, I'm terrible at typing.
That's pretty cool if it can do this. Oh, wow.
So that's interesting because, like, if you have something that's super buried, I don't know how you would use that, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
To pretend it's a person, it might be being smarter than people.
Yeah. It's probably crawling the keywords is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
On the website.
Pretend you're a person, Gemini, who doesn't have fancy knowledge.
What are the clicks you would need to take to get to, you know?
Yeah.
To see story times. I love playing with AI, by the way. I just think it's kind of like a game.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, but I can't find the number of clicks, but can try to find.
Gemini doesn't know how to click like a person.
This is true. This is true. Well, anyway, that was fun.
Pretty cool, though. Yeah, so that's fun. Yeah, we'll have to try see what Copilot does, and
oh yeah, I forgot about Copilot.
Yeah, Copilot I use because ChatGPT is blocked on our server, but apparently Copilot is not. So so we'll see. So anything else on the book? Anything else that anybody wanted to share? I haven't had a time to share on the book. We got, I think, a few more minutes to go. And then I was curious about some other stuff.
So I didn't read the whole book, but all of this talk about the homepage and the web pages has me wondering a question that I've often wondered about ours, which is that we have a lot of information on the homepage and on other pages too, but I especially think about the homepage that's like below the fold. Like it's not right on the main screen, but you have to scroll down. Like our homepage goes on forever, really. And that's kind of like the your information doesn't fit at the very top. Well, we can still put it on the homepage.
It's still there.
But who is going down there? Are people going down there? Do people scroll down? And was there any content in the book about length of pages?
It's a good point. And does anybody remember? I don't remember anything specifically about like that idea. And you're right, though, Anna. That is something that we always talk about is like what's viewable on the page. I don't remember much about. He talked about scroll bars. I do remember him talking about scroll bars because he talked about, hey, don't make your own fancy scroll bars. Scroll bars, people know what scroll bars look like. And don't mess around with scroll bars. That's what people do. But whether there was anything, I mean, I guess just kind of in the hierarchy of like your headings and when you're going from heading 1 to heading 2 to heading 3 to different information. Angela, are you seeing anything?
Yeah, it's page 22 and 23, and it talks about how when people scan, they're looking for certain keywords for the thing that they're looking for. So like if you're looking for the solar eclipse, you're scanning the page and you're not seeing all the other stuff. You're just looking for the word solar eclipse.
So Anna, I guess it's if you expect to see something on the page and you're not seeing it, then you may be scrolling. Now we did a test, and you all can do this. You can do like a free trial of this software called Hotjar. So if you have never done one, you can do it on your website. And what it does, there is a free version of it that doesn't do this, but during the free trial, you get to use like some of the other, they want you to buy it. So they want you to do the bells and whistles. You can see like it gives you a heat map of where people are actually spending their time. And on our homepage, it was all right at the top. Like almost nobody went down at all. And we had, same as you, we had all this stuff down further. And people just don't. Now, I mean, I guess it says two things about it, right? It says, you know, first, well, hey, maybe we did such a great job that all the things that people want to find is on the top. But we also spend a lot of time and energy on some of the things that we have down lower. And, you know, that's where like our, you know, our blog articles, which for us are really our primary content about all the things that are coming up in the library. Like we don't have a calendar on the front page, but that's sort of proxies for what a calendar would be. But people are not really going down there to find any of that stuff. So, you know, so it kind of says, well, great. Yeah, you've got the stuff that people want. But again, then what you're, you know, not thinking about is how many people are bouncing because they're not seeing up top, they're not bothering to scroll, and then they're just leaving. But Hotjar is something, and it does give you some other stats besides just the heat map. But the heat map is a really neat thing. So I would recommend, you know, if you want, if you're able to, it may require. It may or may not, I'm not sure. It may or may not require you to be able to actually like install that on your website. So if you don't have direct control of your website, it may not, but definitely check it out. And the subscription to, oh yeah, we'll talk about that, Angela. A subscription to Hotjar is not super expensive. It's like, I think it's, I don't know, somewhere around $600 a year, which I mean, could be expensive, but you know, if like Fran, if you're doing a new website, it might be worthwhile investment for a few months. Certainly be a good thing. Yeah, Angela, you're saying Google Analytics?
Yeah, I'm just thinking if you're trying to figure out what the things are like you have at the top that people want most, Google Analytics would certainly be the way to tell you what to put up there.
Yeah, what are people actually,
But
what's
it's
actually
hard.
causing
It's
that?
so hard. I hate it.
Have you found any good courses for it, or has anybody found any good courses? Does LinkedIn Learning, they should have a Google
I think they
Analytics.
probably do. You can do it on YouTube also.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
YouTube,
tons
yeah.
of, it's just, even with the videos, I find it to be incredibly difficult to navigate.
Yeah. Did you, and yours is updated to the G4, right? I think everything has to be now,
Oh yeah, it
right?
has to be.
So,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, does anybody else take a look at Google Analytics, or anybody even giving it a shot? It's pretty neat. It's worth checking out YouTube and seeing about, like, you know, how do I understand what it is? Because Google Analytics is something that I don't think it requires anything real extensive to like look at your pages. Like, I mean, I think if you own your pages, I don't think it's something that
Yeah,
that
it's
takes
just a
that
piece of
and,
code that you put on the page
yeah.
that tracks it.
So somebody certainly, yeah. I mean, most sites I think certainly have it. Fran, you try and look at it. Yeah. 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 One if anybody is looking at it, one thing that we've been focusing on, and this is just suggestion, if you look at the stats, and I can see if I can send you the report and maybe how we catalog it, or how we calculate it, is we have something called conversions. And what it is, conversions for us that we're tracking right now is anybody that goes onto your website and they exit your website by clicking something on your website. So they click to the catalog, they click to an event, they click to a database. Anytime somebody clicks something on our website that clicks off, we call that a conversion, because that's our way of saying, well, somebody was there, they found something that they wanted, and they clicked off. And that is a measure of success that we're looking at. So the guy who works for me, who does the website, set up the new reports on Google Analytics. This is getting pretty deep into Google Analytics, but it's called Looker Studio, and Looker Studio lets you create these cool little kind of easy to digest reports that we have one that shows it up. If I can figure out how to share that methodology, I totally will, so you can see what it is. But yeah, it's super good. Yeah. Yeah, Fran, looking at basic stats, number, sessions, clicks, that just looking at all those basics is so valuable. It's so important to see like what kind of things. Oh yeah, yeah, Mary calling things what they are. Yes. Oh my goodness. We still can't figure out what to call our special collections that non-library people know what that is. Uh we're still having a hard time trying to figure out what that is. I forget. Somebody did come up with a good one. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, calling things what they are and not trying to be too clever. That is certainly, we've seen that in a lot of books too. A lot of books that have talked about writing and talked about kind of what kind of things to do, and especially any of our industries, libraries included, but a lot of industries, we all have our own little code words, and we use them so much that we're so familiar with them, but people have no idea what the heck we're talking about. So yeah, Fran, yeah, keeping it simple and keeping it simplified, yeah, very, very important. Yeah, librarians do use, yeah, words are very valued by librarians. So yeah,
And acronyms.
yeah. Oh, libguides, yeah, libguides, yeah. I've heard the words and I still don't really understand, because people talk about libguides and I'm like, oh, what you're doing with that thing sounds so cool. I never in a million years would have called it a libguide. I would have not known what that is.
And they were willing to fight to the death to keep that on the front page. And in spite of me pointing out, no student knows what that is until you have taught them what that is.
Yeah, why would you want to spend so much time educating something about this thing that they're only going to use in the one context when you could really get it going? Okay, well, we're almost at the end. And there is a book, and I'm trying to think of what the book is that we have. I didn't put it up yet, but I have a book that got a lot of votes that we're going to do for next month. And I was just looking at it, and I can't remember what it's called. Give me 1 second, please. I know y'all probably got to get going. Thank you so much for taking the time to join today. Thanks for discussing this book. I hope it was a good experience. If you haven't had a chance to read it, recommend that you get yourself a copy and try and find where try and keep it. It's a good one just to keep at your desk as a reference. Definitely a good one if you have some responsibility for your websites. All right, let me see if I can find this survey. And here's our selection.
While you're doing that, I just wanted to say one of my favorite things that he said was actually in the introduction, where he said technology changes quickly, but people change slowly. And that is one that I have always had warm discussions with my director over, because he is a very analytical person who says, use the technology. It's all there on the website. And it's like, the students want a piece of paper with the schedule for the tutors printed on it to put in their book, so that they have it with the phone number. He says, but it's all there. It's not accurate. What if somebody's not there that day because they're on vacation or something, or out sick? Then it's not accurate. And I said, it's enough that they can call and find out if they need that specific person. I mean, but people change slowly. They want that piece of paper even in a technological age.
Yeah, and if you can use both in a way that work together, I think that's the way to really win, is to to have that. So
that's the line at the bottom.
Yes,
the line at the bottom for
yes.
the most current schedule. Please see.
Totally. Nope. We used to have contact us at the top of page. We moved it to the bottom, not because we wanted to get rid of it, but because we wanted people to have a place to go, but we didn't want people to go there first as I'm not going to look at this. I'm just going to contact us. It made a big difference. So the book next month is called Blind Sight: The Mostly Hidden Ways Marketing Reshapes Our Brains. So we got several votes for that one. So we'll do that one next month. And let's see. So we've got 8 people here. So how about Anna, pick a number between 1 and 8, please.
7.
6, 7. Danielle, you win a copy of the book. So you win a copy next month for Blind Sight, The Mostly Hidden Way Marketing Reshapes Our Brains. We'll talk about that next month. I'll contact you, Danielle, so I can find out what format you prefer and how to get it to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, Fran, you're going to get a copy. Have the website team read it. Great idea. Excellent. That's very
And who's the
wonderful.
author?
Chris,
of the next book?
Steve
Yeah.
Krug. Oh, the next one.
Oh, next month.
Sorry.
Matt Johnson.
Thank you.
Yep. Matt Johnson is our author next month. So thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to join today for the book club. And I will see you all. I'll send you out a meeting feedback form, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Jill, thank you for coming, Jill. Yes, thank you. Bye. Good to see you all.